Is this the transport of the future? Is it science fiction or soon to be reality?
The forecast is that cities will get bigger and bigger, and they already have serious traffic problems today. So I get in my air taxi and fly maybe 10 minutes and cover a distance that would take me hours on the ground.
Flying over the traffic. A nice idea, but is it that easy?
We believe air taxis are an important mode of transport for the future.
If we can't manage to take off and land safely, we won't have any air taxis here.
I don't think we should be promoting mobility for elites, considering the current scarcity of resources and climate issues.
The discussion on the pros and cons of air taxis is in full swing. And so is the race to develop aircraft. Volocopter is one of 3 German companies at the forefront. The startup began experimenting with drone technology years ago.
This kind of technology, so-called multicopters, has been around since about the mid-2000s. I found it very exciting right from the start, and I thought it probably won't be long before someone comes up with the idea of building a bigger version. But that didn't happen, so we went ahead and did it. The first aircraft we developed was the one with the bouncy ball underneath. Then we worked with a lot of partners, universities and so on to make it more and more professional.
The first Volocopter was built in 2017, a lightweight vertical takeoff aircraft with 18 electric rotors. It's already flown in cities like Dubai, Stuttgart and Singapore. The startup is now a recognized development company and is close to receiving commercial certification. Then production can begin.
The technology is so strikingly simple that you can build an aircraft with much less effort than a helicopter. The fact that it's also very quiet and emission-free, with no exhaust fumes, gives you huge advantages.
Flying, long a dream of humankind. Early scientists like Leonardo da Vinci laid the groundwork for manned flight, which first took place about 120 years ago. But the dream didn't stop there. At first, flying cars were a mere curiosity. Since then, the technology has evolved. There are surprisingly many hybrid aircraft combining car and plane. But they need a runway. This futuristic creature, the Terrafugia, takes the next step. It's a compact car until it spreads its wings and rises vertically into the air. Flying cars, air taxis. Will the skies soon be teeming with them, like in Luc Besson's cult classic The Fifth Element?
A lot of news reports mention the film The Fifth Element, where the whole sky is full of aircraft. It's definitely not going to be like that. Imagine you have dedicated takeoff and landing pads. Then it's more like a kind of cable car, where they all fly in a row like a string of pearls.
Defined routes with designated landing pads, for example on high-rise buildings like this luxury tower in Miami. In Germany, Munich's Central Railway Station is getting a landing pad. And air taxis are being discussed by the German Ministry of Transport.
We have a keen interest in air taxis being deployed in Germany. In 2017, we issued a drone ordinance that regulates the operation of unmanned aircraft. The next step is to introduce regulations tailored to air taxis. This will be done mainly on a European level.
Frankfurt Airport is in talks with the European Aviation Safety Agency. The plan? A kind of air bridge between the airport and the greater Frankfurt area.
We see great opportunities in air taxi technology, but we also believe this cannot be the solution to all our traffic problems. But we think it's a logical addition to public transport, especially in urban areas, and we hope as many people as possible will be able to use this mode of transport in the future.
More than 100 companies worldwide are blazing the trail. Global players like Uber, Airbus, Boeing, and Tencent are investing millions in ambitious projects. The German startup Lilium has the vision of flying 300 kilometers with 5 passengers. But a low-cost, mass-produced Volkswagen of the skies is not yet on the horizon.
The global elites in cities of this world like New York, Sao Paulo, Shanghai and Beijing have money and want to travel fast, and so there will be a demand. There will also be a dynamic demand. The question is whether this really addresses the problems we actually have. It will probably only be a solution to the mobility problem for a small part of the population. It's a kind of elite mobility.
And that already exists. Uber operates a helicopter service in cities like New York. Are air taxis simply a more environmentally friendly version? Are they worth all the effort to develop them?
Everything that moves into the third dimension needs more energy, in purely physical terms, to stay up in the air. Even if the energy is 100% renewable, it won't be a solution because we need that renewable energy, which we are making great efforts to produce for ground-based traffic.
Traffic congestion in megacities continues to be the greatest challenge. With or without renewable energy, everyone is stuck in traffic jams. But even the airspace is by no means as empty as air taxi advocates often suggest.
Of course, we're aware that airspace capacity, just like ground capacity, is finite. And we're already taking that into account in our thinking. We have to make sure the air taxis fit into existing airspace, both uncontrolled and controlled.
More and more cargo drones are flying in uncontrolled airspace, and someday they'll be autonomous. They'll need to be programmed to ensure they don't collide with manned air taxis. There is still no comprehensive traffic management system that takes into account the entire airspace at all levels with manned and unmanned aircraft.
If all the safety issues haven't been dealt with, I have great concerns about whether it'll work. I don't think the question of societal acceptance has been properly considered at all. If we already have problems on the ground, people will certainly object to large numbers of drones flying above their heads.
The dream of flying. Could it turn into a nightmare? The technology is ready, even if no air taxi has ever stayed in the air for more than a few minutes. But do we really want a fleet of air taxis above our heads? This question has not yet been answered. In fact, it hasn't even been properly asked.